Hey guys, welcome. Today I'm talking about a drug called Effexor. If you are not aware of this drug, and if you're not using this drug or you don't know anyone that is using this drug, this video is a waste of time. If you're on this drug and you want to share your experience or you want to hear some other experiences, if you're the relative or friend of someone using this drug, you might find this interesting. Let's start off. I've got three things to talk about today. Number one is, why did I go on it? Now, firstly, let me just give you a disclaimer. I'm not a doctor. I don't have any medical experience. I'm only merely giving you a logical opinion as an ex-user of this drug. And to make it quite clear, I believe, my opinion is I'm highly critical of the way this drug is just handed out to everyone. In fact, it could be almost as devastating as the Oxycontin ordeal that has happened across America and many countries over the past decade or 2 decades. So firstly, number one, why did I go on it? Well, I had a couple of injuries. A hip injury was one of them about a year ago. And throughout the course of 2019, I started getting a little bit slower, I suppose. I wasn't able to run, and I normally ran. I didn't ride my bike as much because it was pretty uncomfortable because of my hip injury. And I suffered with the hip injury basically for a year. After about 9 months or so, I'd actually put on the best part of 10 kilos. And I suppose because of the pain, because of the inability to be active, I also started drinking a little bit too much. Not abusing alcohol, but clearly for someone my age and my fitness level, I was consuming too much, and it was assisting in the weight being put onto my body. So I went to the doctor. I was actually getting paranoid thoughts actually about my health, not pink elephants jumping through the sky or anything, and I was feeling pretty down. So off to the doctor I went. Now this is where I was really angry, because I'm in a foreign country, not my home country. The doctor spent 3 minutes with me. He asked me 2 or 3 questions, and then he said, go out and sit outside and I'll write you a prescription. So he wrote me a prescription for sleeping tablets and Effexor. Now initially he put me on 150 milligrams straight off the bat. And so I wasn't aware really of what they were. I knew they were antidepressants, but I wasn't aware of anything. He didn't give me any warnings or anything about the product. So I started taking it. And I didn't feel too well for a few days. So this leads on to part 2, the effects that I had when I took it. Now, on a positive side, the positive note was, yes, the paranoid thoughts did subside. But also, after about 4 months, I suppose it was, so did my drinking, and I'll come back to that in a moment. So I just started feeling sick, numb, without motivation. Now that really affected my job, because my job needs a lot of motivation to motivate other people. I'm in a senior type of role, and I just started, I couldn't plan for the day. I would drag myself out of bed most days at 7 o'clock, where prior to taking it, I was an early riser in most part. I'd even go for a run before work occasionally, once or twice a week, and it all stopped. I just became a nobody. I suppose one of the things that really affected me was, I lost my sex drive, and we don't want to talk about that, but that's the reality, was that, I lost everything that I had. And so I had no interest in anything in particular except sitting, watching TV, playing dumb, boring, repetitive games. I just lost everything, and I wasn't in a good space, albeit I wasn't paranoid. So it was kind of like a case of this drug had one good thing and, you know, a whole range of awful side effects. So after about 3 months, I immediately cut the dosage in half. I went from 150 to 75. And I then looked at my lifestyle and I realized that one of the key factors of the year before was I went from not really drinking much at all, alcohol that is, to drinking quite a bit. And so I thought, you know what, if I'm ever going to get myself off this stuff, I've got to get myself off drinking first, which was quite easy. I just said, okay, that's it. Holiday's over. I went on a holiday. Holiday's over. Today, for the next 3 months, I'm not touching a drop of drink. And I did, and it was actually quite easy. It was a matter of just saying no to people. I didn't particularly have an addiction to drinking. It was just something I did for fun. So I just stopped, and I started drinking Coca-Cola, which is not too good for me, but it was better than drinking alcohol. After a couple of months off the alcohol, I decided it was time to get myself off the Effexor. And oh boy, was that the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life. The Effexor, firstly, I tapered down, you know, I went every 2 days or every 3 days, etc., etc. And so I did it the right way, the way that they prescribe it to be. And when it come time for, that's it, time's over, it's time to get off it. The first 2 days were tolerable. Anxious and nervous, I suppose, a little bit touchy, I suppose you could call it that. And then about day 3, look, I won't go through the detail because I'll be here for an hour. Essentially, my brain exploded. I just became a crazed idiot. Not in a physical sense, people couldn't see it, it was private. But, you know, I was going off at my girlfriend, I was abusing my cousin, I was having a go at my family, and I live alone. And, you know, I was pacing the floor and bouncing off the walls. And it didn't get any better. Then, of course, the electric shocks, you're walking along and you get zit, 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 and you're like, oh shit, what just happened to me? Like someone come up and went smack and hit you in the face. It was the most painful, consistent thing. And I was barely able to get through the day. But I didn't give up. Then the bad dreams started. The bad dreams were awful. They were a conglomeration of all these different parts of my life all wrapped up into one really, really scary dream. And whilst I didn't have the same dream over and over again, I was having dreams every night, and I was waking up literally in fear and sweats at 1, 2 a.m. in the morning. On some occasions, I'd wake up at like 2 a.m. and I couldn't go back to sleep. I'd be awake then for the next basically 24 hours. So I was taking sleeping tablets to try and get to sleep because my brain was zzz, 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 and I couldn't sleep. And then I was waking up at 2 o'clock after only having, you know, 4 hours sleep, I suppose. And I'd be awake for the rest of the day. So I'd be a zombie because of the state of my brain and not having any sleep. And I wasn't thinking, and any thinking that I was having was basically crazy, not paranoid, it was just crazy thoughts. It was like, you know, my girlfriend doesn't love me, or you know, she must hate. It was just crazy. I was off the tree. This went on for 2 weeks. 2 weeks before I had just the smallest little bit of normality. The dreams, the bad dreams carried on for a month. The erratic sleepnesses. After that 2 week period, I went from erratic sleep to deep sleep. So then some days I'd be waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and other days I couldn't get out of bed at 9 o'clock in the morning. And it was so inconsistent. But I was picking up a little bit more motivation at work. And it took me, you know, and I was on a small dose, and I'd only been on it for 6 months, but it took me the best part of 2 months to get off it. This drug is the most highly addictive It's as addictive as heroin or Oxycontin for that matter. Once you're on it, you can't get off it. You literally go through hell to get off it. You know, the sweats and it was just awful. It was just awful. And so I go back to phase one of why did I go on it? And what I realised was that it was the simple go-to drug for that doctor when I said, oh, now I'm having some bad thoughts and I'm feeling rather depressed and anxious. Here we go, take these, you'll be right. There was no thought process, there was no diagnosis, there was no actually checking on what my lifestyle was like, what I was doing, what could have been causing it. It was just the go-to drug. I can't say, because I'm not a doctor, that there isn't a benefit of using this drug for some people. What I can say though is that this is the most terrible, life-crushing medication that anyone could take. And the only way that you can take that medicine is that if you have nothing else left. You know, I'm not going to say nothing else left to live for, but if you've got nothing else left, if it's the last resort, you've tried healthy living, you've tried exercise, you've tried changing your environment, you've tried any other drug that is currently listed on the pharmaceutical list for your type of condition. Only then do you go on to Venlafaxine, I think it's called, or the popular name is Effexor. Only then do you take it. And you must explore every single avenue with your doctor. If you have a loved one, a friend, or someone that you know that is on this drug, let me tell you, they are going through hell. And there is no easy answer. You need to find the right doctor that is willing to really look at the situation and say, hey, there must be a better answer. And the transfer process is very, very long. Okay, this is not a 2-week process. It would take most users of this drug anywhere between 1 month and 3 months just to get to a position where they can attempt to get off the drug. You know, they've got to taper down, slowly taper down. If they're on a high dosage, they need to taper down very, very slow, all the way down to the minimum, and then they've got to split it up into every second day, and then every third day, and then they can have a go at getting off it. That is not medical advice, that is just common knowledge as to what is needed to be done to get off this drug. But I would be, if I had questions over whether I should take it, I would be talking to your doctor, and I would be finding a really good doctor that has a lot of knowledge about the correct drugs to take in a mental health situation. For me personally, I had a very temporary condition that was treated with a permanent solution. And I was really angry about that. There are temporary solutions for mental health patients. In my case, it was anxiety. And in my case, I think the main catalyst was the consumption of alcohol. Once I got off the alcohol, it seemed that things continued to get better. And so, but my doctor didn't even talk about that. He couldn't wait to write the script and just go, here we go, take the Effexor. And oh, it was bad. So guys, that's my experience. Happy to hear your experience. I've had a few people write to me recently and talk about their experience on Effexor. Happy to hear yours. Please drop me a line below or contact me through my YouTube page. And I would love to hear your experience. All right, guys, thank you so much. Stay healthy. If you're suffering, I'm not a doctor, but everyone knows eat right, drink right, exercise right, live right, and you're on the starting block to getting better, yeah? I can't say any more, okay? I've got a bicycle, I ride, I run, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I try and eat healthy, and my life is much better. That's all I can say. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Good luck. Hear from you soon. Bye-bye.